Hello, my name is Sheena Larsen and I run Sheena Larsen Glass. I am a sculptor and glass artist now working in the Fraser Coast region, and I will be talking to you today about setting up a dedicated artist studio. There will be 3 digital talks available. 1 is setting up a dedicated artist studio part 1, 2 is setting up an artist studio part 2, and 3 is studio lighting. During these talks, you will see examples of my sculptural works, my studio construction in process, and examples of my making process. I hope you find these talks informative. Setting up a dedicated artist studio, what you need to know. Please note, obviously the information provided is based on my insights and opinions as an artist progressing through the process of building my own studio structure. Please use this information as a guide only and research all bylaws, building requirements, codes and procedures independently to ensure success in your own chosen venture. Most artists at some stage in their careers have to use pre-existing spaces and adapt them to their needs. This is not always possible if you require specialised equipment and use specialised techniques. If you are lucky and committed enough to construct a purpose-built studio from scratch, the benefits are enormous, especially for sculptors and craft artists who require purpose-built facilities housing specific and large-scale equipment and access to services, example 3-phase power, welders, sinks, kilns, etc. If you are building your studio and it requires amenities, internal walls and plumbing, you need to submit plans for a Studio 10A or Artist Hobby Studio for approval by Council and design your shed structure accordingly. Please note it is always better to build your structure as an intended studio in the beginning and plan your footings, etc. in accordance with Council requirements, than to try to modify a pre-existing basic shed structure after the fact, as this is not always possible. For example, slab engineering requirements. A little bit of advice, spend time in planning your studio shed space. Take a tape measure, chalk and a valued friend and plan the size of rooms together. Then think on it for a while before committing to the design. Talk to your chosen draftsman, shed manufacturer, electrician and plumber to avoid pitfalls associated with planning approval. Will your design pass planning approval? Do you need to alter your design to conform to planning requirements? Stage 1, Step 1. Plan your space. Be meticulous in planning and get it right the first time. You do not want to alter the plan midway through the project. It is expensive and painful and not always possible. Things to consider when planning. The size and amount of separate spaces or rooms required. Space is not unlimited, so you need to work out what are the essential functions you require for your studio. So what are the essential functions required for each space and how much room are you going to require for each function? A grinding, mould making room can be smaller and more compact but will require space for essential services, example sinks, power and exhaust. Can you double up on function requirements in some spaces? A particulate room / plaster room / dirty room can be used for mould making, carving, grinding, sanding, etc., as long as particulates are carefully contained and managed through regular cleaning and exhaust system. Services. What necessary services do you require for each room? What equipment will be housed in each area and where? This will determine how many power points are required and their positioning. Do you need external power points for outside equipment? Can you move some functions outside, example your sandblaster? Do you require a sink, power points, gas lines, special lighting, storage, and exhaust system? Is cross ventilation and natural lighting sufficient? Trades will need to be called in to install these services, so the plan needs to be well considered. Please note that good ventilation and natural light is imperative for any working process and your short and long-term health. This concludes part 1 of setting up a dedicated art studio. This project has been subsidised by the Regional Arts Development Fund and the Fraser Coast Regional Council. The Regional Arts Development Fund is a partnership between the Queensland Government and the Fraser Coast Regional Council.